We are not live on YouTube. Wait for a minute.
Okay, okay, sure. Meanwhile, I can just confirm the people if they are present, everyone, the participants. Are all the participants present here? Please someone confirm me from all the sides. Rishabh,
From the opposition side, everyone is present.
Yes, I am present here.
your team is present here. Rishabh,
Yeah, we are live now.
okay. Hello everyone. I welcome you all to the final event of Settle It, which is an event collaboratively hosted by Veritas and Siddharth Sankar. So, before starting, I'd like to introduce you all with our judge, meet Mr. William G., an accomplished scholar hailing from Andhra Pradesh, with a master's in political science from Acharya Nagarjuna University. He has earned the accolades like Departmental Gold Medal for Academic Excellence. His intellect secured him a COVID spot in UGC NET, where he clinched a Junior Research Fellowship (JRF) in political science with an acceptance rate of 0.1%. Mr. Williams' passion for governance led him to national seminars, conferences, where he delved into topics like e-governance in Andhra Pradesh. Now he is poised to pursue MPhil in Development Studies at prestigious London School of Economics and Political Science. So let's welcome him as the judge of this event. I request every participant to further introduce themselves once our judge is over. Sir, please.
Yeah, hi, hello everyone. Thank you so much. I'm happy to hear. And it's already 5 minutes late, I guess. I want to know the introduction from government side first, and then opposition and media, so that we can start ahead.
Okay, sir. Sure. People of
So,
government, please start introducing themselves.
hello to everyone. I am Rishabh, and I'll be representing government from this side.
Hello, this is Aditya Sawant here. I am representing the government side today.
Hello, this is Sampriti Sinha here. I'm representing the government side today.
Hello, this is Namit Batla, and I'm representing the opposition.
Hello, I'm Dipanshu this side, and today we will be presenting a manifesto for the opposition.
Hello, Harshvardhan Rai this side, and I'll be representing the opposition.
People of media, can you please introduce your
Hello everyone, I am Shagnik Chakraborty and I will be representing the media today.
Samik, don't you have anyone else from the media side?
Akash has joined yet from the media
Okay.
side.
And along with that, we have two media heads, the secretaries of both the houses, Mr. Vignesh Mishra and Mr. Abhishek Oza. They will be heading towards media side today. So, Samik, they'll be joining you as a media heads today.
Sure, no issues.
Okay. So, starting with our discussion, today we have a debate on the manifesto of both the parties, where the opening round would be of 5 minutes of introductory speech from both the sides, and then it will be followed by the rebuttal round. And further which we can have cross questions from the sides of both parties, and medias can question amongst themselves, and further followed by the Q&A from our judge. So this is going to be the format. And so can we have people of government to start?
Yeah, I can start from my side. One
Yes,
second.
please.
Am I audible and visible?
Yes, Aditya, you are.
Yeah. So I'm Aditya. I will be representing the government side manifesto today. So for this upcoming Lok Sabha election, the government's manifesto, Sankalp Patra, resonates with the fire and dominance, outlining transformative promises to propel India into a new era of prosperity and progress, which is quite opposite of the Congress. We have brought remarkable changes from Kashmir to Kanyakumari and from Kutch to Kohima within 10 years, 7 times lesser than the opposition's term. Foremost among these commitments is the vow to enact a uniform civil code, ensuring equality and safeguarding every citizen's right. While supporting equal pay, we promise to bring the Women Reservation Bill soon to power. The manifesto asserts a swift implementation of NRC aimed at addressing the illegal immigration and upholding the nation's sovereignty. A decisive stance is taken towards one nation, one election, signaling an intent to streamline the electoral process for enhanced governance efficiency. Moreover, our government pledges to expedite the resolution of long-standing religious disputes and abolishing discriminatory entities such as the Board. In a bold move, the manifesto pledges to free the temple from the government oversight, ensuring freedom of worship and equitable taxation policies. It opposes any form of bias uh, in government funding based on religious, regional, or caste consideration. The government pledges unwavering vigilance against any terror funding and terrorism, advocating for strict action and zero tolerance against them. Simultaneously, we emphasize the promotion of our Bharatiya culture and heritage on a global scale, fostering national pride, identity, and tourism, believing in the ideology of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Economic empowerment features prominently within the commitments to expand healthcare coverage, provide free ration, and elevate the standard of living for all sections of the society. Infrastructure development takes the center stage with the plans for bullet train corridors, Vande Bharat trains, and clean drinking water for every household. Education and employment receive due attention with commitments to enhance the quality of higher education, generate high value employment opportunities, and actively engage the youth in nation building initiatives. IITs, NITs, triple IITs, AIMMs, and IMMs will provide sound education for the youth because they are the makers of our future. The manifesto champions sustainable and urban development, women's empowerment in the workforce, the expansion of startup ecosystem, and in the fields of healthcare, security, agriculture, technology, finances, proper conduct of examination, aviation, food electricity, sports, space mission, and nuclear mission. For our third term, our basic goal is of developing Tier 2 cities, empowering Make in Bharat, setting grounds for $5 trillion economy, and most importantly, dedicating Bharat to become world's third largest economy. In a nutshell, the government's manifesto radiates confidence and determination, offering a vision of vibrant, inclusive, and prosperous India ready to assert its dominance on a global stage. Jai Hind, Bharat Mata ki Jai.
Can we have people from opposition?
Yes, sure. So, good afternoon to one and all present here. I, on behalf of the opposition, present to you the manifesto that captures the dream and aspirations of the people of this country. As Shakespeare said, what's past is prologue. The history sets the context for the present. And indeed, the atrocities that the people faced in the past 10 years of Anyay Kal, whether it was demonetization, their negligence during COVID, or their complete failure in Manipur, all these brutalities have fueled us present our manifesto. The manifesto of the people, by the people, and for the people. Delving in, we start with education. With our belief that education is the single most important investment that a country needs, we look forward to take the budget for education to at least 6%. That was 2.9% in the tenure of this government. Our focus is to make education affordable and accessible for all. We instigate on adding health and healthcare as a fundamental right. We promise to double the hardcore alliance of doctors working in rural areas and providing sustainable residence facilities to them. We also promise to conduct an extensive research on post-COVID issues, which is being completely sidelined by the current government, and whether it was intentionally or unintentionally. We who is presenting their screen now? Hello.
Yes, please. What's the problem, Dipanshu?
Oh, actually, someone started presenting a screen, and so
Sorry,
okay.
I'll just turn it off.
Dipanshu, I'm presenting
Yeah.
the manifesto itself. You can continue.
Yes. So we guarantee MSP to farmers. We look forward to strengthening the schemes such as EPF, ESI, and NSAP to ensure social security to each section of the society. We ensure a transparent and inclusive government. We will reconsider the gender bias laws in Section 150 of the PNS. We ensure the rights of Adivasi communities on ancestral land. From climate change to freedom of speech to free functioning of judiciary to checking crime against women and children, our government promises to deliver all of our commitments. We promise to provide a direct export. Now, coming to the employment, whether the current government has failed miserably, or I should say, has fooled the youth of this nation. We ensure to fill all central government vacancies as quick as we can and opening various channels to create employment opportunities. Through our manifesto, we promise a vision that current government completely lacks. We promise a hope that the population has lost from government. We promise to restore the belief of a person in democratic and constitutional structure of our nation. We promise that इस नफरत की दुकान में, इस नफरत के बाजार में हम मोहब्बत की दुकान खोलेंगे. Thank you.
I'd like to invite people from government for their rebuttal speech.
Good evening, everyone. So let's start the discussion to the manifesto. To our opposition, just look at the document of manifesto. The promises, changing of system is very prominent there. To the system they themselves developed for 70 years. People rejected them with full force. And now they are realizing the fact that the things they need to have been done in the formative years of their governance since after the independence, they need to have been doing it now. So they just want to change the system. Just look at the promises, what they are making. They are not just wanting to alter the system. They are trying to just change the system. Just look at their promises, what they are promising. They are the same people who lived and governed the nation for 70 years. And now they are realizing the fact that they were wrong. They want to change it. Just look on them. They want to redistribute the land, the inheritance tax and stuff. They themselves first changed right to property from being a fundamental right to a constitutional right. They want to kill the ease of doing business in India by introducing 50% corporate tax. Like seriously, this India Alliance wants to bring that same era of license Raj. They just don't want corporates to flourish in this country. Just look at their promises. Their own soul must be laughing at corner to seeing what they are being promising and to the what they had done in past. The past execution from their same. What they have committed and what they have executed since years. The opposition alliance composition, just look at them. There is no ideology which binds them. They are just being together to gain some power and just escape the matrix of being corrupt. They just want support of each other so that they are not accused of scams anymore. They just want to be together in order to be safe. Just look the example how ED recovered cash in such amount, how that the people can go insane upon on the likes of Congress leader at Jharkhand, or just look at what happened to a TMC leader in Bengal. Such tons of cash that is recovered by ED. Now, just take an example of leaker scam in Delhi. Who were the first one to allege this leaker scam to Aam Aadmi Party? It was Delhi own Congress. Those were the first who alleged this scam to Aam Aadmi Party, and now they are standing together. Just see the composition of this alliance, and they will ask that the government is authoritative, the agencies are working wrong. The amount of cash what ED has collected over in UPA era was just 5,000 crores. And just look at in this NDA government, it's 1 lakh crore of cash is being recovered. Just look at that number which is majority collected from the opposition leaders. Just look at that number. Now, just look at them, that how this opposition is thinking. This opposition, where Mamata Banerjee states she don't only sympathize with illegal Rohingya immigrants, but she roars. Yes, she roars and threatens central government that they can't even touch the Rohingyas. Leave the topic of NRC and leave the topic of citizenships. Look on the divisive politics of RJD and Samajwadi Party. Their famous slogan bond of M and Y, Muslims and Yadavs. But don't they need to worry? They are now just limited to Mujahideens and Yaqubs. Their divisive politics is no more a reality in present day of India. India Alliance stands with Mr. Lalu Yadav, a proven guilty of fodder scam. Just look why people should vote for Rahul Gandhi, just because he looks like a Rajiv Gandhi. Just look at their points, because if he was that potent, he wouldn't have been freed from their core seat of Amethi. Any of this opposition party won't even bring 55 seats. They are not technically even an opposition, and they won't be able to bring it again at this Lok Sabha election also. There will be no opposition in Lok Sabha of India. Just look at the pathetic situation of our oppositions. Because they are sick of their mentality. They are sick of their ideology. Actually, there is no ideology. They just want to be in power. They just want to be free and safe, because they have did so many crimes and now they just want to escape from it. Leave the topic of making a coalition government with the likes of Mamata Banerjee as Home Minister and Mr. Pappu as Prime Minister. For better context, I'm talking about Mr. Pappu Yadav, a magnificent leader from Bihar. So this manifesto is just a scam, just a promises which they are been trying to make since independence, yet not delivered, be it from Garibi Hatao. And they are the same government who impose emergency, and they just talk about being authoritative. The uses of agencies, the Supreme Court stated is the Central Bureau of Investigation as puppet of government, and they now ask that the government is authoritative. So how so many cash is being collected, and why the same political parties who were blood against each other are now fighting together? Just why? Because just they want to stay relevant and just they want to stay in power. That's it. Thank you.
I will have your opposition who would like to present their rebuttals on this case. So, position, please.
Hi, thanks a lot for allowing me to speak, respected judges and all the people who have attended this debate. And my fellow friend who just had completed his points. And so they are saying that, that why do we want to change the system? Why do we want to bring a change? And why, you have been in power for the last 60 or 70 years? It is because we want to bring a change, because in the last 10 years, the damage that you have done to the system is so deep, is so irreversible, that there is no other option than to change the system itself. Be it hijacking of the various government institutes, be it, running a divisive government that divides people on the basis of their religion or caste or gender. And one thing that they said was that the corporate tax is 50%. You might be aware of the inequality report of India, that how how low we rank when it comes to how poor we are, and how like we are in such a bad state that the richer is getting richer and the poor is getting poorer. So India being a welfare state, it is a duty of our government to ensure that more and more corporate tax is taken from the rich and is divided amongst the poor, so that they also grow, they also have a fulfill and good standard of living. and and one more thing my friend commented on a lot was that that how many seats, that we will win only 55 seats, we will win only 60 seats or whatever. I think we cannot unless there is no election, unless we don't go through the process of an election, we cannot decide who will be winning how many seats. Because if you can decide it very early that we will be winning this much seat, that it means that you may be having some access to some more information that the general people don't have, maybe through the way of EVMs, or we don't know. And and like and so many things that I've said about the manifesto of our I guess less points have been discussed about the manifesto and more about what the past things have been done. You have brought emergency and bringing all the past topics, that yeah, emergency has been done, and still a lot of Congress leaders today, they regret that emergency happened, and the government of India gave a befitting reply for the emergency, and Indira Gandhi was not able to form the government after that. But but will this government allow the people of India again to uh, allow them to change the government? No, because it is not possible the way they have hijacked all the systems. And let's go back to the manifesto of our friend, like the BJP, the ruling government. It is, I would say, it is a heaven of contradiction. Like, I don't know from where to start, because the first thing, there's a point in their manifesto that we will ensure that there will be no bias or appeasement on the ground of religion, region, or caste. And if you go through the whole manifesto, just a certain religion's appeasement has been done, that we will do this for this religion, we will ensure that this happens to this religion, and nothing has been mentioned about any other religion. So if this is not appeasement, then what is not appeasement? So the biggest thing of appeasement they have done in their own manifesto, and they're contradicting it. Another thing is that there is another point mentioned that the work vote will be abolished totally by them. I guess it is a fourth or fifth point, I don't remember, but it is in their manifesto. But it is totally contradictory to the 2014 manifesto of BJP. Like, in the page, if you go to the BJP's 2014 manifesto and go to the page 17, you will say that empowering the work vote is our main priority. That is what BJP says in their 2014 manifesto. And suddenly, after 10 years, they are saying that we will abolish work vote. Maybe reasons best known to them. Another thing that the manifesto said that that we will make the Indian university reach the global level. This is something that they have been saying for the last 10 years. That we will bring we will reach the global standards, but we can see how much standards we have reached till now, and how much we are struggling in our Indian education system only. Like they said that we will open a lot of AIMS, IITs, and IIMs. But recent, in 2014, also they said that they will be opening 16 AIMs, if I'm not wrong. And out of that, only 6 AIMs are fully functional till 2023. And so then they talk about different and prior to election, they said that in 2014 that 14 lakh, so 15 lakh will be opened in every bank, 15 lakh will be deposited in every bank account. Of course, it was a very blank promise without thought given to it. So they know that this is how they can capture the government. And in their manifesto, they mentioned that they will be making India a third largest economy, but they have not mentioned how. Just written a point that we'll be making it third largest economy, and how and where and when that goes, to dump. And also, the Prime Minister of the country, Mr. Modi ji, in 2016 said that we'll be doubling the farmers' income. In 2016, he said that we'll be doubling the farmers' income by 2022 in a rally in Raebareli, and you can see how much income has doubled for the farmers, and where are farmers right now in today's India. You can find them in Punjab and Haryana borders, and that is 8 years later after saying the particular that thing. And also, a lot of things were said about smart cities. In today's manifesto, in their manifesto, I thought that they were mentioning about smart cities again, the way they have been mentioning in 2014, 2019. But of course, they have changed it to sustainable cities now. Smart cities is now a history, because it was said that 100 smart cities will be introduced And now we can see that, how many smart cities we are in today's time. And if we talk about the promises of bullet trains promises have been done. I don't know for how far we can remember, but I guess since 2014 we have been listening that we will be having bullet train in 2018, 19, 20, 21, 22. It is not a bullet train, but there's a concept in media that is called media bullet theory. That you put inside some things in someone's mind so much that it's like a bullet entering, penetrating inside the mind of a person. So we have just bullet inside our mind that bullet train will be coming, but there is no actual bullet train coming.
Namit, I have to stop you here because you have exceeded the limit by 1.5 minutes.
Sure, sorry.
Okay, should we proceed?
Yes, government, please proceed.
Okay, so first of all, I would like to state the fact that the government side is not the friend of oppositions. We are not here to make friendships and all. So, my friend, at individual level, Namit mentioned about that how we would be making India our third largest economy in the world. So first of all, this is not a 5-day or a 50-day plan. It's a long plan, and we are investing in it. We just look at the capital expenditure, what we have done in last 10 years, because you won't be able to match that even from the UPA times. It was 1.7% since in the UPA times to 3.2% of the same GDP. We just almost double the capital expenditure. And if you know economics, you would know that the capex is something which ripe reward in long term. And yes, we'll be reaching that soon, because it's not a worrisome thing. Major agencies, go and find it, any financial major agency, all are backing India that will be the third largest economy in coming years. It's a fact. You all can just shut your eyes and just see what is going on, because we have laid the foundation for it. Yes, it was not laid in those 70 years, but now it is being laid because capital expenditure is being done. Infrastructure work is just booming out. And this is how a government should function. We are making an environment where businesses are surviving, the MSMEs are flourishing. This is an environment in which the government economy is growing. We are not with that same so alleged so-called Hindu growth rate. We are leaping frogs. We are keeping inflation at such good control, even despite of war-like situation or even wars. The Ukraine war, be it Israel war, be it a calamity like COVID. You talked about that we do divisive politics based on religion. I ask you, what is your stand in uniform civil code? What do you even think about it? Please pour your POV on it. Do you support it? Do you support the uniformity of civil rights? Do you support it? I'm asking the opposition, all the opposition, to please answer my question. We didn't mention about any religion. Yes, we do mention about the culture. We do mention about the cultural identity what India has. The Indic culture. It's not limited to a religion. It's a cultural identity which Bharat holds, and we will be flourishing on it. We will be claiming that again, which was lost in those 70 years. So please have some answer on UCC. Thank you.
I can ask your media if they have any questions for the government, they have any rebuttals, they have any point of views, so they can go forward. The sequence now on for the cross question session would be government, media, opposition, media, and same goes on.
Okay, so basically, am I allowed to ask the question right now to the government side?
Yes, you are allowed to. Please go on.
Okay. So first of all, being an independent media, and I know that in today's terms, independent media basically means opposition media. But I can clearly see one thing. Based on yesterday's meetings and discussions that has been done, there is clearly, there is not a sense of unity within the government itself. You see, yesterday we had asked so many questions from the media houses countering the government, and government so far has not been able to answer a single one of those. And they are still keeping on buttering about the same topics that they have talking about yesterday, and they're still spelling out so-called economic gibberish, and they're actually skipping out a lot of facts. So continuing on one of those facts, which was actually a question raised by opposition yesterday, and since I think and since I think in their opening speech that they have used that question, so I would like to ask you, the government side, that what is your say on one of the biggest claims that maybe the people or maybe even the opposition leaders are actually claiming, that the ED has over last 10 years has made 121 or 22 arrests, and out of that 115 of them has been from the opposition side, and only 6 of them has come from the government side. So does this clearly means that our government is like the sanctity? I mean, it is the purest government right now, and opposition throughout the years has been so bad, because this is clearly not as it has been. Because back in the day, they were good opposition. I mean, they were good Congress leaders as well. You see, you can speak about Mr. Manmohan Singh, about our last Prime Minister, Mr. Manmohan Singh, how even Prime Minister Modi gave him a good tribute when he died from his Rajya Sabha MP. Does government has a clear answer on why is ED busy arresting opposition people and not anyone from the government, when we can clearly see how much the present government is involved in corruption as well? Thank you.
So I would like to answer media personnel question. So first of all, I would like to mention the thing that today's debate has a certain narrative and a certain topic. We won't want to mix those things today. Coming to answering to your question, what you mentioned about usage of agencies, I stated in my rebuttal round that in UPA times, ED recovered, the electorate recovered just 5,000 crores of cash in those 10 years. And that got 20 times, that went to 1 lakh crore of cash. If the cash is being caught at opposition leaders' place, then what is this signifying? How could you even blame agencies for it? They are not keeping cash there. How come a leader of Congress in Jharkhand is being caught with so much of cash that the machines are getting buzzed? How could you even talk about the TMC leader, which they were caught with they were red-handedly caught with so much of cash? How could you even discount that fact? If someone is committed a crime, if someone has done a scam, if someone has hoarded so much of black money, why won't the agency would go against them? I am asking you, are they going in vain? They are giving a proper proof, they are giving a proper evidences to Supreme Court. Even talking, I didn't talk about Arvind Kejriwal, the leaker scam. The Delhi Congress were the first one who alleged leaker scam upon Aam Aadmi Party, and now the opposition is trying to support them. Just look at their hypocritical nature. Thank you.
Can I please counter this, or do we have to move on?
You can have one counter question, but very quickly.
So my counter question with just one line. What if, what if the ruling party people are being shielded by the government agencies? What if? I'm not saying that it has happened or not, or I am just saying, what if the ruling party people have been shielded from the government? Because we have seen so many gundas and dakus over the last few months have actually been inducted into the ruling party, and all the charges are slowly getting cleared. We have seen it, you see in Goa, in Karnataka over the last few weeks, and we have seen this. What if they are joining the ruling party and all the charge sheets are getting clear? What if? Or what if the ED and CBI are not actually bothered about searching them? What if?
Okay, so first of all, I would like to mention the thing. What if is a very vague thing to bring upon, because you are just stating on what if, because agencies are working on their own way. There is no such charge sheet. Even after deflecting from parties, there is no such case which is being closed. It is just on as usual. And you know that the judicial process of this country is being lagging. Why? Just because they didn't they didn't brought enough reforms at times. Even today we are lagging just because we are using the same British judicial processes. We are now making reforms to just change it, but it can't happen in a day, it can't happen in some years, it would take some time. And hence the things what agency is doing it with proper evidences, and they are catching the leaders with proper cash with them. So I'm done with it.
People from opposition, please take your turn.
Hello, Yatharth. Thank you for the opportunity. Before I answer to my fellow colleague, I'd like to show to all of you the manifesto presented by the government so that you have a very clear idea of what these people are talking about. They have asked a very direct question of our stand on Uniform Civil Code. Our stand on Uniform Civil Code has been clear since independence. It was a Congress-led constitution committees that framed this entire constitution that we have, and we made very clear that we'll strive to bring in uniform civil code in this country, but not at the stake of disharmony, not at the stake of suspending fundamental rights of religious freedom. We're going to bring in uniform civil code when the time is right and when the society is ready. Moving ahead on that, I'd like to answer another thing mentioned by the esteemed gentleman. He said he's not here to make friends. Prime Minister said a similar thing back in 2014 when he said, "Unke 60 saal versus hamare 60 mahine, we are not the same. We are going to be different." But only yesterday, I remember one of the representative from government was saying, "Hum ek hai. We're the same. We're from the same land. We are working together, and we all of us have the same goals." So, where does the Prime Minister stand? Do we work together? Do we work together in harmony, or are Congress and BJP a enemy forever? This is the divisive politics, ladies and gentlemen. They are dividing people on the basis of ideology as well. The third point I want to mention, the very thing that brings forth the fickle mindedness of this government. An ex prime minister of this country, a very esteemed statesman, AP Vajpayee ji, mentioned that Ram Mandir was going to be the only temple or a property dispute that's going to be brought up by the BJP government or the BJP in its manifesto in future. They were never going to interfere with what's happening in Varanasi, in Kashi with Gyanvapi Masjid, or they were never going to interfere with what's happening in Mathura. He is on record saying this in Aapki Adalat, and anyone in this meeting can go ahead and check that. And please, I'm sharing the screen and showing you the manifesto of the government. They have very subtly mentioned, we will work with judiciary and will ensure that issues like Kashi Gyanvapi and Mathura Janmsthali and other similar things get resolved. Other similar things, ladies and gentlemen, there's no limit to this. They're not going to stop, and they're bringing in judiciary into matters which maybe just a couple of years ago were not a matter in themselves. They are bringing in these matters just to consolidate their vote, because throughout, if I go through this entire document, there's not one relevant point discussing growth, discussing development, and the only thing they mention about the things that actually matter are vague. They talk about employment in the very last section of this manifesto. Ladies and gentlemen, very last point of the BJP manifesto talks about employment. And very vaguely, they just mentioned that we'll boost manufacturing through production linked incentives, and through that, we'll generate employment. There's no proper pathway mentioned which of the MSMEs among the ones mentioned, they have mentioned the word extra, but which of the MSMEs among the words mentioned are going to generate maximum possible employment in this country, and how are they going to pick which of the sectors to incentivize and which not to? Whereas when you check the opposition's manifesto, we have given a very clear pathway to employment. To begin with, we are going to fill 10 lakh vacancies in central government. This BJP manifesto doesn't talk about it, ladies and gentlemen. Although, if you remember, the 2014 manifesto did say that they are going to give 2 crore jobs. We are still looking for that 2 crore jobs, sir. I am personally looking for it too. So if you have one, do ping me. Thank you so much.
Harsh, you can please share the screen. And people of media, please go on with your questions for the position.
No, I have no questions this time around. I'm clear.
Vignesh and Abhishek, do you have any questions?
None.
So, government, please, it's your turn for rebuttals as media is not participating in this Q&A.
Am I audible and visible?
Yes, Samprati, you are.
Okay. So first of all, opposition was talking about UCC, that they were already ready. They were mentioning it in their manifesto that they have no problem with UCC. Then why didn't they apply it in these 70 years? What were they doing it? And now, if our government says to apply UCC, why are they opposing it? What's the basic reason behind opposing UCC? I want to know that. Another thing I want to know is in their manifesto, they mentioned manifesto of the people by the people. Have they really even interacted with the people of India? What people actually are thinking? They're asking questions in the manifesto. They're asking, are the people really happy in 2024 as they were happy in 2014? Can the opposition give me just one reason why people are not happy in 2024 and they were more happy in 2014? I want to ask this question that if you are saying that UCC was in our manifesto, we wanted to apply it, you are opposing it right now, then what about Article 370? What's your take on that? When our government was going to apply Article 370, why were these people opposing it? And even they are saying, even the people of the leaders of Kashmir, they were saying that if we apply Article 370, there will be river bloods and whatnot. But did anything happen in Kashmir? Did you people see anything happening there? Kashmir is now a flourished state. It's so beautiful, and people now can go there, can buy property there, can live there happily. And the tourism has increased so much. But now these people were opposing it at that time. I want to ask this: why Article 370? Why did you oppose it? Now, why are you opposing UCC if we are bringing it? One more thing we mentioned in our manifesto was NRC. These people, the opposition, is basically mind washing the people of India, mind washing some typical, some particular minority regions of our India, minority religions of our India, that if we apply NRC, National Register of Citizens, some people won't get their citizenship. Their citizenship will be taken back from them. This mind washing thing that opposition does to the people of India is something very absurd, and this should not be done. Because we are okay with what we have mentioned in a manifesto. We are okay with what questions you are asking, but please don't mind wash the people of India. Please don't mind wash their basic facts. Please don't mind wash. Please don't interfere in the important and actual real facts what our government has did and even what your government has did. Because you people are just like one time you'll say you want to apply UCC, the other time you'll say you don't want to apply UCC. The other point I want to mention, what opposition was saying, that we are always interested about Mandir and we are always interested about Kashi Vishwanath and Mathura cases. So what our government basically wants to definitely do in the next 5 years, what our manifesto is about, is that we won't interfere in the case. We just want the case to be solved. Because the people of India really want these cases to be solved. Why these cases take too much long time to really get solved? This is one more question. And they are asking what we did in the previous 10 years of our government. I want to ask what they did, what most striking feature they did. One thing that I didn't like, that most of the people that takes the basic freedom of speech from the people of India was emergency that was applied by Indira Gandhi. What's your take? What's the opposition's take on that? Why emergency was applied? It was not a need at that point of time. And why still the opposition says that the situation right now by our government is also of emergency? What's their take on that? And one more last thing I want to say is that when India Alliance or Congress government is there, state governments are there, they take so much of loans. And then when some other state government comes of some other party, then it's so difficult to recover those loans. The interest rates are so higher. And still, these government, which now become opposition, they ask why we are not implementing the basic things, why we are not implementing the basic rights, and why we are not implementing the government we are not implementing the things we mentioned in manifesto. What you people did, you made so much of burden, so much of loans you took, and now we have to recover it, as well as you have to implement new government laws. So that's one more question I want to ask. Like what we had recently in Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan, and Madhya Pradesh was a basic example of this. Thank you.
Before moving on to the media heads, I insist every of the participants to not name anything. Just be with the words opposition and government. Don't name call, do not label something here, and maintain a very strict code on this point. I hope I'm clear with this. So, people from media, you can question the government here.
Yeah, it's clear for me
Media,
this time, right now. I will ask you later.
okay, fine. So, opposition, uh,
Yes, hello. So, first of all, I'm amazed by the ability of the government party. Yesterday, when we were talking about economy, they spoke about ramen. When we asked about law and order, they spoke about infrastructure. When we questioned them on the foreign policy and defense, they talked about bunch of different things. And today, when we were supposed to talk about our future aims, they are digging up the past. They are talking about the past 70 years, and they are talking about the things that they have done, which they should have told yesterday. Now, a person from the government alleged our alliance that we have no ideology. I question them because it is not allowed to take the name of the party. So I'll just give a reference. You align with the party to whom you call anti-national in Jammu Kashmir. In Bihar, you align with the party whom the home minister says that that our gates are always closed for you. Again, a party in Bihar who's a prominent member of that party calls her party the Chutia party. You again took the party in your alliance. And let me talk about CBI and ED cases now. Now you said that let's go by your thing that people against whom CBI and EDI took the actions are corrupted people. Okay, then why 23 out of 25 cases have been dropped from the opposition leaders that joined BJP? Why are the 115 cases out of 121 are non-BJP leaders, and those that become part of BJP are out of 25 of them, 23 got relief. So what action does your party took against those corrupted people? You gave them a ticket. Wow. And now talking about UCC, why you did not implemented UCC in the past 10 years? You amended a lot of things in the constitution. Then why you did not brought the UCC in the past 10 years? That was all from my side.
I invite people from the media. If you have any questions for the opposition,
Yes, I have a question for the opposition side. And my question, sorry, first of all, let me turn on my video so that it makes more convincing. Yes. So my questions towards the opposition side will be that over the last 10 years, okay, I admit the government has been pretty poor at its promises and it has not done really a lot of things. But I cannot keep on saying that the opposition has been pretty good in their jobs as well, because so far as we can see that right now at present opposition really is in a pretty jittery state. Opposition has a lot of issues that they could actually raise and counter the government, but the fact is due to a lack of a proper leader, the opposition is totally spineless at the moment countering the government. In fact, as a matter of fact, there is one YouTuber, I don't want to name him, we all know whom we are talking about. He is actually doing a better job a better job at asking questions or bringing the truth in front of the people rather than the opposition. Whereas the opposition has actually been busy, I mean, they've actually been busy doing these marches all the way from north and south and going from east and west, which may have garnered a lot of media publicity, but I don't think they have actually been really helpful in a lot of this. So my question to the opposition is, opposition will be, where are your concrete plans in order to take down the government? Where, who will be your first candidate as a prime minister? Because as far as I can see, or as we can see, there is not really a proper candidate, as people are actually busy fighting over themselves, or they are actually busy fighting over spoiled milk, sorry, spilled milk, because it makes no sense whatsoever when you don't have a proper counter government or counter foundation ready that the present government has. So what are your answers to these claims as raised by the people? Thank you.
People from opposition would be willing to answer this one.
Hi. So yeah, thank you for media for asking the question, and it is very good to see that media is very much tough against asking question to both government and opposition alike, and not only focusing on opposition. So talking about saying that there is a lack of proper leader in our government. I think if we go back to the history of India, the way elections have been fought, we have mostly seen that there is an idea of, an ideal phase of a PM candidate according to which a government is selected. But if we go by the essence of constitution, if we go by the essence of polity of India, the elections are done on the basis of, a leader that arises from a particular, Lok Sabha seat and district, and a person who goes to vote, he logically doesn't has to vote for the main face of the party. They have to vote for the MP that is representing their constituency. They have to vote for that particular MP, and people have to decide on the basis of that. They don't have to decide that who will be their leader, the president, the prime minister. The prime minister is the leader of MPs, and the MPs eventually decide who they are going to make their leader after after the election results come, that who has won which seat. So as a media, your duty should be to make the people of India go towards the essence, the enshrined things written in the constitution. That is how the political system works. How we have to vote for an MP or an MLA to make a state government or a central government, and we don't have to see who is sitting in this, who is face of the state government, or who is, because one person cannot be the face of India. One person cannot be face of all the party and all the things, because there are different people in party. A political party is a group of different people coming together. But if we talk about and one question, you said that we are not doing anything about that. As a government, as an opposition, we have, whenever we try to raise our voice, we are thrown away from the Lok Sabha. We are removed. We are said that you are making fun of this or that, and you are removed from our Lok Sabha. And then bills are passed on the basis of that, when we are not allowed to even speak there, when we are when our voice is not heard, and how can we make the voice of people reach there? Because as long as they will not allow us to sit in the Lok Sabha, they will remove everyone, be it in all the parliament. So how will we be speaking, how will we be raising out our voice? I hope this answers your question.
Media questions, media people, do we have any more questions?
Yes.
Please go on.
In the speech, the opposition side started by saying that the government is taking up the past issues now, and then proceeded to name what alliances were done in the past, or why the UCC was not implemented in the past, and so on. Why does the opposition not tell the alternative timeline on when they should implement the UCC?
Thank you, Vignesh, for the question.
Who is
This is a very good question and a very important one as well. I did give you the timeline of when the UCC will be implemented by our alliance and our side. When the time is right, the society is not yet ready. It wasn't ready in 1950. It is still is not ready. The communal tension are heightened. Unless we have a social harmony, we are not going to be able to implement UCC properly. So we are going to wait. It's going to take time. That's our stand on Uniform Civil Code. And the other point, why we are bringing in the past, we are not bringing in the past, sir. We are just bringing the past, the record of the last government itself, on the basis of which we are going to ask people to change them. Uniform Civil Code needs a constitutional amendment which needs 50% of total strength and two-thirds of present and voting. They have had these numbers for 10 years now. They have brought in multiple constitutional amendments. If they intended to bring in Uniform Civil Code, they could have done in last 10 years, but they refuse to do it. They refuse because they too know for a fact that our society is not yet ready for it. It's not possible, and it's going to create law and order situation. But they are making false promises, sir, in their manifesto. And these are the reasons we need to bring in the last 10 years itself. We're not talking about the BJP governments from 1998 to 2004. We are not talking about the governments which do not belong to our alliance in 1989 or 1979. We are just talking about the previous government and their fickle-mindedness and their hypocrisy. I hope I was able to answer you, Vignesh.
Are cross questions allowed?
Yes, Vignesh, one question and you can wind it up.
Okay, thank you. The question is that the same thing was said by sections of the opposition regarding Article 378's removal, that the society or the state of Jammu Kashmir is not ready yet for its removal. It was also said that it will again create law and order situation. It will worsen things in Jammu and Kashmir, but it is not apparently evident that much has changed.
There's a very, very simple answer to that, Mr. Vignesh, why these things are not evident. You might have noticed the host of this session himself, right before opposition was about to speak, made a statement that no one should take any names. But he refused to interfere when the name of Mr. Pappu Yadav from Bihar and names of our political parties were being taken by the government side. He made sure to make these statements right before our turn. This is the media. This is the control of government over the media and the narrative. They have curbed any news that could come out of Jammu and Kashmir. They have suppressed people to an extent that they can't raise their voice. Free speech is non-existent. They suppressed internet for months after abrogating 370. You want the current situation? Wait for the legislative elections for Jammu and Kashmir, sir, and you'll see what's the situation. How much people are satisfied with this government, and you'll very much see when the legislative elections happen before 30th of September. By the way, which are happening thanks to the Supreme Court and not due to the grace of the government. Supreme Court had to force these elections, give a deadline to it. Only then these elections are being scheduled. Or just like always,
I have to interrupt you here because you're already going out of the time for a fact number one.
That's exactly
And
how
fact
the
number
media
two,
is going to work, by interfering the opposition and not disturbing the government. Thank you.
I
I
can
think I
see
made
the
my
time
point.
records for your information and for your facts. So you are being very factual here. I must appreciate you for your facts. Now, I would like to address two facts. Number one, I was noting time period for each and every one, wherein your people, your representative, Mr. Namit, crossed the limit by 1 minute and 30 seconds, and then I pointed it out. So you cannot say the media or the people controlling the things from the front and from the top hierarchies. It is not the fact. Number two, I intervened because it was going too much. The name calling was something very prominent, and I had to. At some point, I had to. That was the reason I told, and there was no certain limitations that I was supposed to intervene within your speech and to tell you people to not name call anyone. It was a very coincidental thing. So, without interfering things on your own, get the facts. Now, people from opposition, you can make your speech.
It's for government, I guess.
Is it for okay? It's for government. My bad. Government, please go on.
Okay, so opposition is talking about hypocrisy. So, anyways, so here what we are going to see, what we are seeing right now is just the same template in which the opposition is playing the game from so long, crying on things, crying on media, that media is biased, crying on things like even the host of this meeting is biased. Look at the things what they are trying to say. Look at the topics what they have brought. The EVM issue, that same EVM which they have used to win elections in Himachal, in Karnataka, but the same time when they lose the election, they would make EVMs a faulty thing. This is how hypocritic oppositions are. Just look at them. They bring in the issues which are so hypocritic to them. They talk about why didn't we brought UCC in just 10 years. They were in power for so long, in for 70 years, and they are again repeating the fact that the society is not ready. Am I listening the same thing which they used to say in Article 370, that खून की नदियां बहेंगी? This is what the narrative they are going to set. This is just something they always going to they were stating before Ram Janmabhoomi Supreme Court verdict. This is mongering which they do. This is fear mongering what opposition try to do. This is their fixed template. Either they cry or either they do fear mongering. Just look at their points that we shouldn't even help judiciary in resolving of issues which are of high values to people. Why won't government help judiciary to have resolve such issues very fast? It's the responsibility of government to support and help judiciary to resolve these issues as soon as possible. Why won't we? This is the true secularism. Why you are just sticking to secularism, just taking secularism as appeasement of some particular vote bank? Please get out to this old narrative of being in opposition. This won't work out. If this would have worked out, your prime leader won't have to flee from their own core constituency of Amethi. This is what is the impotency of political leaders oppositions have. I just asked them a simple question. Are they ready for national register of citizens? What's their stand on illegal immigrants that are filled in our country? Those are of a national, they are national threat. They are life threatening things which are going here and by. And they are supporting and sympathizing with illegal immigrants. This is the situation of opposition. Just look on their points. They are pointing out things which are so hypocritical. Just look at their points, what they speak about illegal immigrants. They say you dare not touch. They threaten central government on things. I ask them what are their motive against such people? What are their motive against illegal immigrants? I ask them. Thank you.
People from media, do you have any questions?
Yes. I
Please go
wanted
on.
to ask the government side that the government talks of NRC and how they will implement it. But even the census has not taken place in its time when it was supposed to. So how can we believe that the NRC will be implemented?
That's a very good question from the media personnel. Talking about the census, it's very clear that the timeline in which it should have been done, it was 2021. But the thing is that the country was in a national healthcare emergency. It was a time of COVID, and hence things got delayed. And let me bring a very crucial point here, that even the general election is something which is of which require a high amount of manpower, and things are very screwed. Hence, we are also propagating for the concept of one election, one nation, one election, because things are very complicated. We are a very vast country. We are a country of 1.4 billion, and we need such huge man force in order to organize such things, be it census or be it election. So it's a very complex thing, because even after independence, one nation, one election was something which was there, and opposition should have supported this idea, but even they are not supporting it now. Even talking about the things like UCC and NRC, we can implement it, but we don't have 2/3 majority in even Rajya Sabha. So things are there, complexity is there, but I can assure you that just after general election of Lok Sabha, we would be starting the census, and things will be out as soon as possible.
People from opposition, you can take over.
Okay, so first I would like to tell the host that if there is an issue of someone crossing the limit, so we can put someone can share a screen and they can put a stopwatch, because it becomes very difficult to concise all your points in a certain timeline. Because, or either when you, if when someone crosses the limit, just say that you have crossed it so that the person can stop. It's not like after 1.5 minutes you remind them that you have crossed. So, and the
Namit,
other thing,
let
yeah.
me make it very clear. A very great instruction was forwarded to you all, wherein I told you to stay in your time limit. I should not interrupt for your time. Was it clear or not?
No, like you can put a, you can share the screen and
I
start a,
cannot. I
that
am not here
happens.
to measure your timestamps.
Okay,
It
no
is your
issues.
responsibility to adhere to the rules. Is it or is it not?
Yeah, it is.
Make sure.
Yeah. So, so the thing is that they are talking about the government said that that we are calling media biased and everything, host is biased and everything like that. And the thing also that said about the UCC was that why for 70 years we have been in the government and why it has not been implemented. Because we as a government, we value the people of India. We value the culture of all the 1.4 billion people who come from different culture, diversity, different language, different gender, different tribes. There are so many tribes, there are so many things that goes into play to run this particular country. It cannot be done just by just because some of you decide inside a meeting room that okay, we will bring UCC. It cannot be done like that. You have to ask all the people, all the tribes of India, be it from the northeast or any part of the country which you might have never heard about. They are people who get affected by such things, and we need to ensure that there is a social harmony, there's a balance in the country because before enforcing this. And one more thing is that comparing 370 with UCC is a very bad comparison, because UCC comes under directive principles of state policies, which means that they serve as a moral and political obligation on the government to create conditions for the welfare of the people. And if and UCC is a part of it. And UCC, and it is said that it cannot be like enforced or like forced on the people just to follow it. It is on the endeavor that everyone well-being is taken into place, and only after that it can be enforced. And regarding the Article 370, a lot was said about Article 370, that the Kashmiri Pandits will be back after Article 370, and they will get back their land. But you can see that they are still struggling and they are not getting back their places. So Article 370 is just a hulla bulla of showing that we have done something significant, all which with no actual result on ground. And one more and Article 370, and if you know about the history of Article 370, it has been a very complex history, and it has been done so that every citizen's their whatever their stand is in the country, it is respected. And that is why it has been very difficult to touch things like Article 370 and UCC. You have done it, but that doesn't mean it is a success. For you, demonetization was a success, but on ground, how many people suffered? We never get to know about it. We just see it through different ways. And or even if we talk about GST or any other thing, a lot of people have suffered, a lot of businesses have suffered because of GST, but we don't know, we don't have any data. And that is what I want to say.
Opposition, do you have any question?
Yes, I have a question towards the opposition, and my main question will be that since the independence of our country, incoming migration from other countries has always been a teething issue. There has always been like such a huge influx of migrants from nearby countries, mainly Bangladesh and Myanmar. And my question to the opposition is that it is only after the new government that has come here that some issues, whether good or bad, that will be a subjective matter, but at least some measures have been taken, have been thought of implementing in order to controlling this influx of immigrants. My question to the opposition is, in that so long of your reign, why was no such measures taken? At least to my history, I don't ever remember like that no such measures of controlling the immigrants coming inside India was taken. My question is, why has that been so? And if and does the opposition has any better solution than the CAA NRC issues to actually counter this teething issue? Because this is a problem that almost all developed and developing countries face, mainly Italy, then there is United States of America, then there comes India. But does opposition has any plan regarding that, and will it be even more effective as compared to CAA NRC? Thank you.
Regarding the illegal immigration, thank you, media, for asking this question. And but if you go back to the history, if we see that why an illegal immigration has been a part of India, when the term illegal immigration comes in our mind, mostly it's about two countries. If we see, it is Pakistan and Bangladesh. People from people from a country like Pakistan and Bangladesh have come since the independence. Because if we see that when the partition happened, a lot of people got mixed from this place to that place, and after that, a lot of wars have been fought between India and Pakistan, because of which there have been some causes by people coming through the border, and not proper sealing of the border. And yeah, we understand that it is a kind of it can be a mistake from our part if we accept it. But illegal immigrants shouldn't be a kind of a negative thing for India, in a way that if we have a data which says that illegal immigration has caused a lot of pain to India, because if we go to the because as my friend in the BJP, they sorry, I'm not sorry for the taking the name of my friend from the government, they said in their manifesto that India is a we want to take India back to its cultural root. So for that, we know that India has been a ground for different people from different, for the thousands of years. People have come to India, they have settled in India. And I know it's a very it's not a very good analogy that I am giving, but if you try to understand it in this way, then if you want to throw out people from the country, then you are totally against the culture of Bharat, as you say in your, that is to be open for everyone. That is the Vasudevaya Kutumbakam, that this world is one family. And of course, if any illegal immigrant, they do they do any crime, we put them in jail, and the crime is it's not that that's just because they are illegal immigrant, we won't put them in jail or anything like that. And also in the when the 1970 war with Bangladesh was for India, Pakistan and Bangladesh war was fought, and India helped Bangladesh. A lot of because of that, as well as a lot of people came to the other side of the border because of that situation. And after that,
Namit, I have to interrupt you here again because you are already going out of your time.
Okay, this is done from my side.
Government, this would be your last rebuttal speech.
Okay, so again, opposition is just playing the game what they are known for. So what Namiji just mentioned, if you all just heard, that illegal immigrants are not of a very negative impact. They are not a negative impact on the nation. They are probably very good. I think we should fill in all the illegal immigrants, I guess, because they are the one who sympathize with them, and not just sympathize. They are their watch guards. They are the ones who ask central government that dare not to touch with them. So it's quite clear that what they are with them, illegal immigrants are actually vote banks. Actually, they're vote banks. So it's quite clear. Why would they even ask them to go in some worrisome issue? Our stand is quite clear. We won't tolerate any sort of illegal immigration. The NRC would be implemented in the first 100 days of our timeline, as our Prime Minister has mentioned in the Wheel of Parliament, that this term is all about taking bold decisions, and the opposition have to welcome it because they have no other options, because the people has fed up with them. Even I asked about them. I asked the opposition about NRC. They didn't mention anything. I asked them about the UCC, but they didn't. They're just doing a whatever that the society is not ready. They are stating that the directive principle of the constitution, which was drafted by so-called Congress leaders, is not even potent enough, that we can't even implement. The situation of country is so bad that even after ruling for 70 years, they are not enough to make such a thing. We can't implement UCC, and this is secularism. This is the form of secularism. They talk about CAA, that how it is discriminatory, but they again talk about UCC, that how it is discriminatory with other beings. It's quite clear. It is uniform civil code. It is equal for all, civic right equal for all. Why would all you are wanting to mess things up? And how can you even say that illegal immigrants are good for nation? You can't. There is a process of citizenship there which is open for all. There is the CAA system, and there is a proper system which anyone can avail. But illegal immigration is a cancer for nation. Illegal immigration is a cancer for nation, and we need to cure it. There is no chance by which we can protect it. You can't sympathize with them. It's not the same old regime where the opposition can say that they can even sympathize with the terrorists. It is not the same government. We won't even tolerate this at all. Things will be going in smooth pace. We are on our manifesto, and things will go bold this term. Thank you.
People from opposition.
No, yeah.
Just a second, just a second. Will the media will be allowed to counter this question, or is the
No.
opportunity for media?
This won't be an opportunity for media because it was a concluding statement. You might have your chances while the Q&A session with judge. So when
Okay,
the
sure,
judge will be questioning either of the sides, you can intervene if you have any questions.
sure,
Um,
no issues,
I
no
have a
issues.
query. Is this a concluding statement from both the sides?
Yes. So government has done theirs. Now it's the concluding statement from the side of opposition.
I think it's the
So
last rebuttal statement, right? Not the concluding
Oh,
statement.
it's my bad. I
Is
mean, it is the last rebuttal statement. Yes.
yes. So shall I go?
Yes, you can.
Hello. Just a second. Then I think the media will be able to counter this because that's what I was thinking.
Yes. Okay.
It's
Fine. You can just one quick question.
yes. I exactly have one question only towards the main government, and it is clearly that and it is clearly we can see that the government has been busy pointing out the immigrants into the country. That I mean, people who actually come inside the country as immigrants, they are busy targeting them from a particular community which are actually known to promote terrorism, which is totally wrong about the way government is actually speaking about, because there are a lot of immigrants who maybe are coming inside this country because they don't have good opportunities in their own countries, and maybe they actually want to come back to India. So yes, maybe they can. So maybe they can come through the fair way by through proper verification of passports and etc. and all. But what government is doing is they're actually targeting, or they're actually coining each and every single immigrants, illegal immigrants as terrorists. And maybe there have been a couple of examples, but there is no way that the government can actually target a community of people in this way, when we can clearly see how government has been protective about communities within its own, which actually comes within its own religious or nationalistic policies, which we can clearly see. And however much the government may try about showing that they are actually secular, we can clearly see that the government has recently published a constitution. I don't know whether it was true or false, but since it has been published on a MyGov portal, the word secular country has actually been removed. Okay, so the government is actually planning to change India from a secularism to Hindu Rashtra, which they supposedly claim, and which we all know how horrible this is actually going to end. Both this will finish peace between religious communities throughout over and after. So my question is that does the government really want to, really want to just detonate this ticking time bomb?
Okay, so coming back to answer the media personnel, first of all, I would like to emphasize on the fact that they are not immigrants, they are illegal immigrants. We didn't stated them terrorists, but yes, they are criminals. They are illegal immigrants and they are threat to nation. Our resources, India resources, are for Indians. It's not for anyone who can cross the border from Bangladesh or from Myanmar. They can make instability in different states like um, West Bengal, or states like Tripura or other northeast states, and they can just use resources on which the responsibility of our government is to ensure that those resources are left with Indians, not with anyone who illegally cross the border and now try to get to those resources. First of all, they are criminals. They are criminals on the ground that they are doing illegal activity. I'm not sure that what are you talking about. There is no such thing about religion between immigrants. Those illegal immigrants are illegal immigrants. There is nothing issue. There is no issue of being of a certain religion or a certain region or a certain caste. They are just illegal immigrants, and we will fix them out. We will. Our motive is quite clear. We will identify. first of all we will identify and get them away from the voter list, because there has been great there have been immense situations where it has been seen that such people are used as vote bank. It's a threat to Indian democracy, and we are strong on it. We won't step back on it. It's quite clear, and there is nothing to do with religion. I'm
Rishabh,
talking about the secular thing.
if you can sum
Okay,
up your
just a
answer.
second. Okay. Should I say?
Probably last few words and
Okay,
conclude it.
so it is quite clear that we are not going to change the secularism. This is just a narrative, a fear mongering, which is a very constant thing done by opposition. There is nothing going to be a Hindu Rashtra. We are a secular nation and we will be a secular nation. Thank you.
So, people from opposition?
Yes. So,
I mean,
though we
before you start, I just have one thing to say. After this last rebuttal from opposition, both the team will get chance for 1 minute of their conclusion, and within 1 minute you can put your pointers, and then we will go for the judge Q&A session.
yes, sure. Though in the entire debate, we have reminded the government again and again about the motive of this debate, which was to discuss our manifestos, to discuss the future aims. But seems like they are not interested in doing so. I think this happens when you have no answer for rising unemployment in the country. And here I must say that in the past 10 years, they have mastered the art of ignoring the questions of the youth, questions of the opposition, questions of the farmers, and questions of the people of this country. I must ask that what solutions that they have provided in this meeting. Check our manifesto for a second. Check what solution we have provided for the Kashi and Mathura case. We said that we will be creating a permanent statutory body similar to a district judge level that will do the resolution of property case disputed between religious institutions. So this body will provide a fast track hearing of such cases, and this will reduce the pendency in the courts, and it will provide provide the justice through negotiation, and it will build social harmony. Just take one more example in the field of health, how we will cater the short-term need of the doctors. We said we will register the unregistered medical practitioners, which people call Jhola Chaps. We will identify, we will start training for them, and we will register them under the regional medical officers. So this is what you present in your manifesto. This is what the debate was all about. But I believe, like yesterday, they have just dodged the questions from our side. We are still waiting for their answers on unemployment. We are still waiting for their answer on hate speech, the crime against women, the deteriorating conditions of condition of the people in this country, and whatnot. We believe the answer will be given by the people of this nation in the upcoming elections. That was all from my side.
Opposition?
I think this is media
media?
stuff. I think this is media stuff. Yes, I have a question, and I have one final question towards the opposition, or rather a suggestion, as it has been given by the people. Is that it is actually the people saying, okay, this is not my saying, but the people actually suggest the opposition to stop being crybabies right now. Because if you look at what has happened over the past 2.5 years, like that, so many leaders have been jailed, so many things have been done against them by the current government. I would like to say that if you look very closely from the globe at a country miles away from us, which is affectionately called as the United States of America, though they are not united, different topic. But if you look over there, they are also approaching elections right now, and their main oppositional rival is Donald Trump, and he is also being plagued with so many issues throughout throughout the Supreme Court of America, and he has been plagued with so many monetary issues that it sometimes seems that whether he will be actually be able to fund his own elections is going to be a problem for himself. So there are problems with the opposition that opposition in various other democracies as well. Similarly, if you look into Russia, how Vladimir Putin won elections this time, and when he also sought a record-breaking fourth term, I believe, for as the president slash prime minister of Russia, and he has been pretty famous for jailing the oppositions as well. And we all know that, okay, maybe Russia may be sort of a dictatorship, but we all know United States of America is not a dictatorial regime. This is also
Salman, could
democracy,
you please sum
and
up the question
jailing
early?
opposition leaders is pretty popular. Yes. Just a
Just
second. So
mention the
my question
pointers.
is that, so yes, so my question is that what really has the opposition got to say about these crybaby remarks that the people are raising when other countries are perfectly fine with it, with their governments and with their oppositions doing so? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chakravarti, for the question. First of all, people are not saying crybabies. It's BJP IT cell that's calling us crybaby. It's the IT cell of the entire alliance sitting in the incumbent government that's calling us crybabies, not the people, because people are going to vote and they are voting for us, and they were going to vote for us in the upcoming election phases as well. So please do not refer the people to be the one calling us crybabies. Going ahead, all of you know Donald Trump has complained about all these things multiple times. That things are going against him. There is conspiracies against him, but the government of United States has been transparent with answering the questions. They have been transparent in answering the question, whereas our government, when they arrest a leader without a money trail, they refuse to give us proper evidence. They refuse to make the evidence public, and they are putting a sitting CM in jail. They are putting a sitting CM in jail with no proper evidence or money trail found for it, but just statements that they have forced out of people who have had different issues, health issues, family issues. They have took this opportunity, forced out a statement, and using multiple opposition members in right before the election. And when we call them out for this, so as to distract the real people, the people who are on the ground noticing all these things, their IT cell comes out and calls us crybabies. So yes, it's not the people, and we don't need to react to how the IT cell of the government is working. We don't need throughout this debate hasn't given once goes to the state of
Harsh,
and makes a remark about Rameshwaram blast, makes a very and blow
Harsh,
up.
did Harsh leave the meeting? Oh, okay. His mic is off.
I guess there's some
So,
network
Yeah,
issue.
I think I have another issue. I'm sorry.
Harsh,
I'm
just sum it up now because you are already exceeding the time.
Sure, I'll just sum it up. So,
Yes.
a sitting union minister goes to the state of his election, calls and uses the term, "The people from Tamil Nadu get trained there, come here and blow up." They are making these remarks. A union minister, not an MP, not just a leader, and prime minister, home minister, and rest of the entire leadership of the government stays quiet about it. They are not making anything, and when we complain, they call us crybabies. That's the truth of this government. That's the true face of this government. Thank you.
And now one final minute for both the sides, not exceeding the time limit. I'm turning on the timer, so make sure you are into the limit. From the government, please go on.
Okay, so this is the conclusion of our government side. So basically, what opposition was saying that CAA and what our one of the judges was asking was that CAA is for legal immigration and illegal immigration. We say that every illegal immigrant is terrorist. We are not saying that, but what happens with the minorities of our countries in other neighboring countries is what we feel is an important step of CAA to bring those minorities, give them legal immigration to come to India. Now, I would summarize our manifesto by just saying what our government has did in this 10 years is like we did Digital India, we did Skill India mission, we did women empowerment, an important step, women reservation bill, which we brought, which gave 33% of reservation to women in all the assemblies, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha in our parliaments. And then our government and our India has one principle, that is Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, which was the guiding principle of the G20 that was held in India. So basically, it is one family, one India, one family, and one earth. So the people of India and the government and this government is basically wants to unite India citizens along with along with the whole world. We people have our government has helped the our immigrants, our citizens of our country, which were there in Ukraine war. They helped them to come back to India. They helped citizens of our country who were living in foreign when COVID was going on to come back to India. We did Vande Bharat schemes for that. And as well as we helped our NDRF forces went to Turkey for that earthquake which happened there to help the citizens of their country in such a drastic period of their time. And then
Sampriti,
our motto, yes.
you're on the time.
Okay,
You sum it up.
yes, I just sum it up. So our government is basically focusing on four things. That is Garib, Kisan, Yuva, and Mahila. The empowerment of the poor, the farmers, the youth, and the women empowerment. That's our motto. And Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, as I said, and Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas is what our focus is on. Thank you.
Opposition.
Okay, so the government ended that speech with Garib, Yuva, Kisan, and women's, which are the four major demography of India that are suffering most under this 10 years government. And one more thing that this government said was that G20 was one of our achievement. But inflation-ridden countries like Argentina or Mexico, they have also done G20, hosted G20 way before India. So the way it is being propagated as an achievement, it is a kind of, we are quite late to the game. So our manifesto is not just a set of promises, it is a commitment to turning those dreams into reality. Like, we believe in equality, we believe in progress, inclusivity, and transparency as the pillars of our nation's growth. Our promise is to empower every individual, transform education and healthcare, protect the environment, uphold social justice, and drive digital innovation and lead globally with integrity. Every 5 years, you are at the power to give a new government to a new party. You have a lot of expectations, but most of the time these are disappointment. But we as a member, we as a opposition, we are here to bring a change in politics. When we form a government, we have ideas, aspirations, and roadmaps to achieve them. Many times there are questions regarding zero-sum game. In order to achieve a promise, any other existing resources will be exploited. No, we won't, because most of our promises are done as per proper research and by the experts. Also, we have the first 100 days roadmap for the next 5 years, in which all the ministries, that is Ministry of Home Affairs, where we will be introducing a bill to CA to fast track the citizen for Tamil immigrants from Sri Lanka who came to India due to linguistic persecution. And for Ministry of Defense, aircraft, weapons, and logistics shortages will be countered by hiring more labor force. And all this is we will be doing in the first 100 days of our government. And Ministry of External Affairs, the ministry will take a firm stand on the immigrant issue that has emerged in the northeast from Myanmar due to policy of incumbent government. And for the finance, we know that the after effect of demonetization and
Amit, if you
GST
can sum
is
it
still
up.
evident. Yeah. So at the end, we will be ensuring that all whatever we say in the 100 days and whatever we are mentioned in the manifesto is not something that stays in those pages as well. It comes out in the open, which is visible for all the Indians to see. As India is that one nation, it is not for a certain religion or a certain caste, or only a certain people can run the government or country. That's it.
So now I invite our judge to please have questions for both the sides. We'll have next 10 to 15 minutes for the same.
Yeah, thank you so much. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Thank you so much. I wonder today the questions and the discussion was was so good. I thought you would both the opposition and the government would bring some of comparative and competitive policy making changes to the present policies that was existed in your both manifestos. But I wonder, some of you have not touched at certain areas. So just let me go through the questions that I wanted to rebut both to you. So what are the my question to the government will be that how can the government provide more details on the strategies and the policies that will be implemented to expand your startup economy to the Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities to make India a global center for high quality services that you have mentioned in your manifesto?
Okay, so thank you, sir. It's a very good question. We would have mentioned things on our manifesto, or we would rather have done it, but things didn't come up to the debate. So, first of all, not targeting to the opposition, but I would state the fact that corporate tax is something which we need to see. Even the good the startups of having the things which are going great, they are leaving the country just because the corporate tax in India, or the taxation system, the orthodox taxation system of India, is not that great that it is easing them to stay here. Either they are shifting to Singapore or similar such nations where those are called tax havens. So it's just something, it's a thing that we need to focus on. And talking about the tier 2 and tier 3 cities, our committee have been identifying startups, or rather incubation centers in tier 2 or tier 3 cities through the model of Atal Bihari Vajpayee innovation centers. And there they have been guided, and even they have been tried. We have tried to fund them either through government loans and either through private equity. So those are the things which we are focusing on, and we would also try to bring foreign direct investments to such startups, even at a village or tier 3 level.
Okay, perfect. And my question for opposition, as opposition manifesto captures most dreams and aspirations of the people, but I'm afraid what are the specific measures that are taken by the opposition if they come into the power to combat the hate speech and strengthen the laws against the mob lynching that you're more focused, particularly in the Northeast?
Sir, we have very specific points mentioned in our manifesto itself on how we are going to combat hate speech and mob lynching. To begin with mob lynching, BNS has through BNS government introduced a law on mob lynching that says 7 years punishment. But any murder case has a punishment up to life imprisonment or even death. But mob lynching hasn't been included in the same crime section. We are going to increase the penalty for mob lynching to life imprisonment at minimum, or death even, depending on the case. Going forward, regarding hate speech, we'll have to make a joint committee with those who are sitting in the government now, the opposition of future as well. We are going to bring in the top leaders of all the parties of this nation, and together all the parties to begin with will have to make symbolic gesture by disowning anyone who tries to make hate speech. Moving ahead on that, we'll have to work together to bring in legislation where we clearly define what all constitute hate speech. Through that legislation, first of all, we'll classify hate speech and just freedom of speech. We'll classify between hate speech and freedom of speech, and then a penalty will be introduced for it. But that penalty, as of now, opposition hasn't included in its manifesto, because before doing this, we want to discuss it with all stakeholders, which includes the public, which has at stakes their freedom of speech if a law on hate speech has been brought in.
Okay. And how does the government is going to plan to address the challenges and the opportunities in the transportation, including the bidding of upcoming Olympic Games in 2036, the development of bullet train corridors, and different running models of Vande Bharat trains? As you mentioned in your manifesto, how we are going to tackle these challenges and make them as the greatest opportunity?
Um, Again, a very good question. So first of all, I would like to mention that the aspiration of bringing Olympics is a really quite big aspiration, and it's something that will add up to the identity of India. So on terms of infrastructure, we have been working, and we won't be stopping here. We'll be having more and more investments in infrastructure. talking about transportation and train system, I would like to mention that freight policy is something which we are special freight corridor which we are discussing and the work is on. That is something which is a game changer in terms of railways, because if that is done, the passenger corridor will be a lot more ease. They will be eased, and hence we can supply more such trains, because increasing train is not a issue. Having a proper corridor and tracks is something which we are working upon. And even the track speed, the infrastructure in terms of making tracks is being tripled since the last UPA times. So things are going great in that space. And even in logistic issue, national logistic policies is being trying to implement. Summarizing it, we will be wanting it to digitalize and making it a very suitable options to having even a road transport system which is very very efficient through national logistic policy.
Okay, thank you. So, how will opposition extend schemes such as PM Udan and address the concerns that was raised by the Controller and Auditor General CAG reports in the various projects?
This is a very important question, sir, and we hope to and we wanted to cover this during the debate, but the government successfully, as usual, through different measures, tried to pull this topic away. Niti Aayog
Of course,
clearly
but you
stated.
didn't even opposition have not brought this to the table, I guess.
No,
Okay,
sir, it
just
was
answer this.
opening, but I'll cover it in detail through this question. Thanks to you. Um, Niti Aayog has clearly stated that there has been irregularities in providing tenders for airports under the Udan scheme. The tenders have been provided to same companies, which could eventually lead to monopoly in control of airports. What we are going to ensure is put a ceiling to begin with on number of airports a specific developmental infrastructure development company can handle. Beyond that ceiling, even if they have the highest bid, we'll go with the next bidder so as to ensure there's competition in the market. In addition to this, there have been multiple claims of infrastructure. There is a highwayman in government, I hear, and till this point, they haven't discussed since yesterday how are they working on other aspects of infrastructure like the digital infrastructure. Through digital infrastructure, we are going through digital security legislation that we have planned. We are going to ensure safety of not just the data, the documents in Udan itself, but entire governmental system as well as the public-private data.
Yeah. So, regarding how government is going to take specific measures to address the challenges and the potential controversies that were being associated with the National Registry of Citizens (NRC) implementations that has swept so much controversy across India. So, how you are going to make some specific measures to address these challenges?
So again, I'm taking the question. So the question is actually the answer to the question lies also with the opposition, because opposition has been constantly fear mongering, making a false narrative. First of all, making a false narrative about CAA, that it is something that we'll be indulging and we will be calling different citizens of different countries, and we will be filling and we will be changing the demography of the nation. But it was already stated, and it was well stated, that the cutoff date for it is being mentioned. It is 2014. It was very simple. The opposition tried their level best to do fear mongering. And talking about NRC is a very, very crucial subject which we need to focus on. We will be trying to have committees to overlook it, to have certain measures and parameters on which we need to go upon. Firstly, we need to have a register of citizens as it clearly states, National Register of Citizens, and then we can go with the flow, like how the management and how the committee would advise us to. But it is a such topic that is very close to this government, and we would try to resolve this issue this term itself.
Yeah. And how will the opposition reform the existing legal system, particularly in consultation with the judiciary, to ensure a fair and transparent alternative to the collegium system?
Yes, we have already mentioned this very clearly in our manifesto, how we are going to revamp the judicial system to make it more transparent. We are going to bring in all the Supreme Court judges and all the Chief Justices of High Court and we're going to have regular discussions on alternatives of judiciary. No law is going to be passed like NJAC, bypassing the judiciary and forcing them to do something. We are going to bring them in because they are the first stakeholders in this. We are going to ensure that throughout the lawmaking process, they guide us in whether or not we are interfering with the judiciary. Every single legislation will be made with the help of the judges themselves. We are going to bring them in, and this particular legislation we aspire to bring in the first 100 days itself. As soon as our government is swear in, the next day, the first meeting that's going to be held is with the judges of the Supreme Court, because a fast judicial system is the need of the hour. It is the most important thing for the people of this country.
Yeah. Yeah. So, how government will ensure the effective participation of women in workforce through the development of infrastructure like working women's hostel, and crutches in near industrial and commercial centers, and how do you engage also with the youth in national building activities through programs like Mera Yuv Bharat, and what are the strategies that you wanted to put in to engage with the youth of this country?
Um, so talking about the participation of women workforce, symbolic to it, we brought in the women reservation bill, because it is very clear that if parliament is being vacant from the women participation, then the message is not clear. Things have been talked upon like women reservations since long back, but nobody did this, and we did this, and it was also a symbolic move to encourage the women workforce. We have also mentioned in our manifesto that we would be trying to have more and more self-help groups of women, and try to have small and micro industries for them, and hence we can first increase their participation at village level. And talking about the urban level, it's simultaneously with the youth, we assimilate them together. uh, there has to be manufacturing plants first of all, for which we are vouching for, again emphasizing on the corporates, because even if we look at China one strategy, things are going to Vietnam or Singapore. The reason is that the corporate tax are quite high. Again, stating to that, it's currently also 30%, which is not a very ideal scenario for them. So we need to bring manufacturing, we need to boost entrepreneurship, and we also need to inculcate the behavioral mindset of not just being there for government jobs. Government job will be there, it's not going, but if the whole aspiration of youth is just being there with just government job, the thing is not going right for the nation. We need to indulge in different sectors, and we need to flourish there. We can't just limit it to a government job sector or a private sector in terms of just like services. We need to have product based companies. We need to have certain private players who can flourish the economy in such a way. We would also try to infuse the terrorism. We would try to tackle terrorism, and we would bring tourism in such a way that because we also mentioned in our manifesto that the self consumption of tourism should be high. Currently we are consuming in a foreign destination, but we are not consuming it right here, and we would try to encourage that, and we would be trying to have more efficient ways of tourism, and hence the consumption would be increased, and micro economy of certain places will be boosted by it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
you. So So how does the opposition plan to address malnutrition, especially through campaigns targeting women and children's safety?
So to begin with, Ministry of Women and Child Development will have to work in tandem with Ministry of Health so as to reach out to the primary healthcare centers of state which work under state governments. They'll have to put in bulletins. They'll have to put in posters of importance of breastfeeding, with telling them the bad effects of the packaged food or food elements that are provided to children below the age of 5, because that's the target here. That is when malnutrition kicks in, and children with who are let's say I should use the word not economically strong. start to face health issues, and that continues throughout their life. So the first step that is to start again within the 100 days as soon as the government is in power, is Women and Child Development Ministry working with Ministry of Health to reach out to the primary healthcare centers of the state governments to use posters, bulletins, vans with speaker, spreading this information to the people. Second step would be through the food distributed under the scheme, Pradhan Mantri Antyodaya Yojana, Antyodaya Anna Yojana.
Yeah.
What we are planning is to provide the food grains that are coated with different kinds of nutrients, vitamins and minerals, instead of the cheapest material that we can provide. We are going to change the food grains that are provided. The emphasis will be on providing protein-based diets such as dal and etc. In the midday meal scheme, also we'll have to make a little bit of changes. First of all, midday meal scheme would be enhanced to students till class 12th. That would not only help students go through the entire process of education, of primary and secondary education, but also through that midday meal food that we provide, we can bring in protein-based diets such as eggs or such as dals into their regular diet. And through these measures, we plan to counter malnutrition and stunting and child wasting.
Thank you. And my question for the government is that why government is opposing the caste census while it was being implemented in some of the other opposition states, are for say the most what I say the most debated point in that is that they would that would actually help the government to understand the number of people who belong to certain caste, would actually help them in making some particular policy law making and policy making thing for certain communities, which is essential part of democracy. So why the government is opposing this caste census?
First of all, we are not deliberately opposing caste census. If our party's mandate was very clear in Bihar, we supported the caste census and it was released there. But the thing is, the opposition is in a very fishy mood. They did the caste census in Karnataka. It was ready, but they didn't publish it because it doesn't appease their mindset and it didn't appease their narrative there. On national level, we are not vouching for caste census because we have been trying this since long back after independence. We have been playing this game of caste in terms and we are trying to just appease certain things. We need to uplift them in terms of caste, but things are not working because even after 75 years of independence, things didn't change that much. So our focus is quite clear that we will be targeting in terms of economics. We will be targeting in terms of their economic conditions. We'll be targeting upon their region, not just something because of their caste, because this thing is being failed terribly. There are things that we know, like the reservation is still there and it is very prominent, very immensely prominent. But we don't want to make it again the things that are repeated in past, because this formula didn't work out very well. Still those section of society are being in not in great condition. Hence, our aim is to vouch for development in the areas like economically. We need to identify those who are weak in terms of region, in terms of occupation like farmers. So we need to shift a bit of mindset because this formula didn't work in this 75 years.
Yeah. Okay. So how the opposition will ensure the prevention of communal and targeted violence is effectively implemented to prevent the communal issues affecting in any religion?
So the first thing that we need to do is to change the mindset of the people that has been polluted in the last 10 years. That's the most important job. If a Sikh police officer does not agree with a leader, he's not a Khalistani. That's the attitude we need to change to begin with. Again, we'll need to involve the local players, the panchayats, the school teachers on the ground to bring in a change in the mindset. We'll have to involve the social capital that we have to enhance communal harmony among the people. more importantly, we need to ensure that there is interdependence on the communities. I'll take an example from Varanasi itself. There's a community of Bunkar that belongs to one particular religion. There's another community that sells the products made by these Bunkars. They both are interlinked. They both profit from each other, and despite multiple attempts by the current government in dividing these communities so as to consolidate their vote, they still work together. They work very efficiently and without any and they do and they have and there hasn't been any communal violence in Varanasi since 1991. And it's not like there hasn't been an attempt to it. When Prime Minister was doing his road shows during 2019, there was an attempt to it. There was an attempt to slogans made in that road shows to create communal tension, but it were the people who refused that. So throughout the nation, we'll have to involve the social capital, because this cannot be done just by the government. We need people working with us to ensure more and more communal harmony in this nation.
Yeah.
Sir, so are we done with Q&A, or do we have any
Yeah.
more questions?
Yeah, one last question for both government and opposition. See, for government, my last question follows as
So you asked a
how
question.
government how government can government elaborate on the plans to support and promote Indic cultures globally and showcase India's cultural and civilization identity on international platforms? How the government is going to act on this,
Uh,
which is also
uh,
manifested in you.
it's a very good question, and we did mention it about in our manifesto. It was very prominent point, which we need to discuss upon. So firstly, the thing is that we are culturally very, very rich. We have so many Indic religions and culture which flourished and also propagated around the globe, be it Hinduism, be it Buddhism, be it Jainism, or be it Sikhism. Even other small culture, very, very, be it identity of being Punjabi, identity of being Bengali. There are different things, and we are very, very culturally rich. So firstly, we need to identify such spots. We need to identify such spots which have and carry such prominent cultural in, importance with them. Like we can take example of Buddhism. We can have certain cultural spots which need to be identified and which need to be propagated to the world in terms of tourism and in terms of spiritual tourism, because we need to also work upon like things like how can we systemize those areas, how can we beautify those areas, and we can have lavish schemes, and we can have lavish plans to such locations. We can beautify. We did corridor work in Mahakal corridor, and we did in Kashi Vishwanath. On similar ground, we need to first have good system in such areas that the tourists don't face a lot of difficulties in those areas, and then we can have a prominent voice in global level that our culture is very rich. Please experience this sort of culture, like how we propagated yoga and similar stuffs. We need to propagate in that manner that we as Bharat is being will be known for such rich heritage. It is there that we are potent enough, but the past government didn't work that immensely upon that. So we need to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And last question for the opposition is that what strategies are outlined to address the shortages in the defense resources to implement and the implementation of war OP for armed forces and handle the diplomatic crisis effectively? How this opposition is going to do this?
Okay. I'm sorry for that. Your question was how are we going to tackle shortages in armed forces, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And how do you handle the diplomatic crisis?
Yes, sir. To begin with, if we take justice shortage, I'll cover it in both differently. First of all, to counter the shortages, it's not possible for us to bring in weapons from abroad all the time. We need to develop weapons indigenously so as to counter shortages. HAL is short in labor power, and that's why Tejas and Tejas 2.0 aircrafts are delayed. So first of all, we are going to increase the labor force. We are going to increase the salaries and the incentives provided to these laborers so that they can work more efficiently in production of the weapons and drones and security personnel uniforms and other shortages that armed forces are facing. That's the first step we need to take. Second, we need to invest more in research and development, in development specifically of products of defense sector, because they are not only meant for filling up the shortages, but can also be a business opportunity for the government in future. So second thing will be to invest more in research and development. This is how we plan to counter the shortages in armed forces. Second, how we plan on establishing better relations with different countries we are put in crisis with. The simple answer is being proactive, sir. As of now, India is facing a diplomatic crisis with Canada, United Kingdom, United States, and Australia regarding anti-national activities going in their land. Where the government failed was not in the response. Government failed in acting before any such thing could happen. The first instant itself should have been countered with open public statement against these fringe particles, and to be from the start only pressure should have been mounted upon the authorities in Canada and other countries to act. Since they were let go initially, they gained numbers, they gained popularity, and as of now, they have become a political instrument in the domestic politics of these countries, and that's why government is not able to manage it. What we are going to do going forward is, first of all, reach out to these countries. We'll have to leverage the businesses they have in our country, and using that business, we have established a good business relation with all of these activities in their land. That's one step. There have been other diplomatic crises in our neighborhood as well, such as with Myanmar, Bangladesh, Nepal, and Bhutan.
Thank you. And
sir, I'll just complete in 10 seconds. I'll just give a very short answer to this. We already have a Gujarat doctrine for these neighborhood nations. We will act as a big brother, giving free pass on small things to our younger brother, such as Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar, Bangladesh, and Maldives, and we'll have to repair the relationships that have been damaged.
Thank you. And one more, so questions will be taken by the media. Just one question for opposition, one question for the government. Yeah, Mr. Chakravarti, are you on the line?
Sir, did you ask something?
Yeah. No, I'm giving the floor to media. Mr. Chakravarti is going to ask question. So
Okay,
I'm recommending him to ask one question for the government and one question for the opposition.
Sagnik, are you there?
Can you just repeat the question once again? I forgot.
Sagnik, judges asked you to put a question for both opposition and government. Just one question each.
So I can ask one question only to the government, because I have a lot of questions right now going through my mind.
You do have a lot of questions. Yes, if a judge permits us, we can have questions. Sir, what do you say?
Yeah, at least only 2 questions are permitted for both government and opposition.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so basically one question to either side, towards the government and towards the opposition.
No, total of 2 questions for each side, Two for government, two for
Okay,
opposition.
so it's right, okay. Okay, I will answer one cover. I mean, I will ask one questions to each side, and maybe some other people may cover up for the other questions as well. So my first question to the government side is mainly going to be, it is a very politically themed question about the so-called Modi wave that happens throughout the country whenever there is an election. I'm extremely sorry for using the name, but maybe the name of a popular leader using which BJP has, again, I'm sorry for using the party by mistake, it's coming out by the flow, using which the ruling party so far has won various elections. Now the question is that the opposition at this moment has no such leaders who really has the charisma to bring out the masses, or such a leader whose name whose name they can actually use on their posters for bringing out toward the masses. But if you use this policy, because if you I mean not this policy, if you use this thing against the government, it goes by saying that the government really at this present has no backups upon its sleeves. Because if the current prime minister, who really has such a big charisma around himself that wherever he goes he attracts such large crowds, what if one day he steps down from the government? What if one day he steps down from the government, and if a new leader comes ahead, will he be able to harbor the same amount of charisma that the present leader has had himself? Because apart from the present prime minister, I don't find any other leader who houses similar amount of charisma as our prime minister does. In fact, if you see that other leaders, wherever they go, they are often like booed, and they're often like hated, not in a way like opposition leaders are, but they are to some extent, and they're not being able to pull crowds or pull the masses toward themselves. This is my question towards the opposition. If the present prime minister retires, will we see any backup? Is the government preparing someone else to do the same job that their present prime minister is doing? Thank you.
Okay, so should I
And
should
yes,
I
and yes, once again, I'm extremely sorry, and I apologize for using names of people and political parties in these questions. I'm extremely sorry.
uh, it's a
That's
very
okay,
valid
Sagar.
point. It's a very valid point what media personnel has asked, that we have a very charismatic leader, probably one of the best leaders we had since independence. So the thing is, India as a society, the group of thought what India possesses is that we are always been searching for such leaders, and if there was a deficit of something like that, we were vouching for someone to come like that. And since they got a very tremendously great leader, they just attach to it. It's really the love of people that they attach to that leader. So it's a very valid question, that what if he go politically retires or something sort of like that. So it's the thing is that our party is not based on any leader. It's there that we are contesting, and it's a very strong and a very valid point that we do have a certain such high charismatic leader with us. It's our plus point, and it's our we are very lucky on this, that we have such potent and such lovable leader with us. So hence we are using it for our benefit, and so that we can connect with the mass. But the thing is that our party doesn't depend on any certain individual. The thing is that everything for us is our particular ideology. Our ideology to enrich Bharat, to bring back its own identity, and to thrive as again a Vishwaguru. It is an ideology that runs through in him. Even our prime leader doesn't differ from our prime ideology. Ideology is something which we are always stated, and which we are always there with. There is no certain individual who can bypass our ideology. So the thing is, even before 2014 elections, the general elections, there was no very charismatic called leader. So it was the timeline that we got it, and we presented it. So it's just a time game. It's a time function. Once our party decide that we need to change or switch our candidate, we will be seeing the same things, because changing leader is something very prominent. Even at a state level, we are very used to changing leaders the prominent leader who have ruled for many years. We can take the example of Madhya Pradesh or even Gujarat. We have been switching leaders. So yes, we do have a very charismatic leader, but we also have very potent, very high potential leaders with us, which at good times we'll be using them again, and the same charisma we'll be finding in them. Thank you.
Media, any question for opposition?
Yes, I have a question, and it is funny enough, it is the exact same question, but in the entirely opposite context towards the opposition. And I am explaining to them once again is that the government at this moment has an extremely charismatic leader, and they are doing everything that they can by putting their leader's face in almost everything, and they're gathering crowds at it. My question towards the opposition is, do they have such a leader ready? And if yes, why are they not using him? Why is no one from the opposition being able to exert such amount of charisma if they're so much determined to form the new government next year? I mean, not next year, this next month, after the end of elections?
Thank you, media personnel, for this question. What the government has is not a leader. They have a poster boy. They have a poster boy on whom they can with whom they can roam around and just say a whole bunch of nothing and try to influence people. What we actually have are leaders who will put their life at stake if needed for this country. We have a president who comes from the most backward community on this state and has come forward through the help of the constitution. He became a block pramukh, he became an MLA, he became an MP, and now is a party president. He's leading our alliance from the front. We have a charismatic young leader who has spent last 5 years just traveling throughout the nation and listening to people, listening to their problems, listening so that in future he can provide solution to these. We have local leaders. We have leaders in every blocks, in every constituencies. We have leaders who do not work for elections. They say they have an ideology that they can't, that no leader can bypass, and that will give them the future. They have no ideology, sir, because if they had one, the washing machine system wouldn't have been brought in. They wouldn't have been working with people who have abused their ideology, their public ideology for 20-25 years. What we have is the ideology. What we have is ideology of development, of bringing in the socialistic changes that this constitution has put upon us. And our leaders that are working at the ground level are not bothered with elections, sir. They are bothered with delivery. Even without being in government, they are still working day and night to bring social justice. They are working day and night to bring pride to their people. They are working day and night to bring in communal harmony. So we have leaders. We have multiple leaders, but they are not poster boys in the name of whom we're going to influence people in a wrong way. What we have is administrative leaders who are going to take this country into the next 100 years on the path of development.
I guess we can wind up the Q&A session if we don't have any more questions. Media heads, do we have any questions?
No, I don't have any more questions. I have asked them all.
Vignesh and Abhishek, do you still have questions? I suppose that's a no. So I have one final question for opposition from my side. Position, as you mentioned, you have people, you have leaders, you have people working on to administrative fronts, you have people working on ground. I see your regime, your party has been completely a dynasty. We have barely seen a change of leadership in your party. How do you counter that? How do you answer that by stating someone else as a poster boy, but your family has been a poster boy entirely? Your family is projecting themselves as the sole face of entire working system, how do you defend that?
I'll answer this question, but before I answer this, I ask one thing. By saying family, can you specify which family? Because if we are talking about the Sindhyas, they are not in the opposition. If we are talking about
Not
the
anymore.
Singh Paribars from Uttar
Not
Pradesh, they are
anymore.
not from the opposition, right?
Not
So I
anymore.
hope why I made this point. But yes, I'll answer your question in a manner which you brought it in, with the intentions
So
you
if
brought it in, Mr.
if I am not wrong, if I
Please,
can
please
get you
let me
more
finish. Please
factually
let me
correct.
finish. Sure, sure. Please
So
go ahead.
my point was regarding the leadership, the top leadership. If you can
Of
answer it
of
properly,
top
of the
leadership
top leadership of your party.
of which party?
I'm not supposed to name the parties. If I'm
And
clear
then
with this.
see, that's the beauty. When you interrupted the opposition in previous round, you said you're not going to mention any party because a party should not be mentioned. But you're saying a family without mentioning which party, and the opposition is confused which party should we defend. But then, nonetheless, we will defend ourselves. We will defend ourselves. The family that you are in fact talking about is not in charge of the party you are talking about, sir. The party is headed by a man who has been statesman for 30 years. He has worked from grounds up in this party. He has worked with different sorts of people. He emerged through the ranks of his state. He emerged through the rank of his central leadership and is now the president of the party. The second in command also rose through ranks and again is not a dynast. Is again has no father in politics, and he is leading the strategies of our party. So when you say that a family is leading a party, that's not true. And you are factually incorrect in asking the question. And I remind the judges and the people listening to this, please note the intention of the host. He interrupted right about not naming a party right before the opposition was about to speak. He interrupted us multiple times, if you have noticed. And then this question, without going into the specifics, because he knows he can't go into specifics, and he because he'll be factually wrong.
So now inferring when you quote someone as a poster boy, you won't be wrong. But me stating someone as a dynast is very much problematic to you. I see the hypocrisy.
Yes,
Nice, good coping
because
mechanism.
no, it's not hypocrisy, sir, because we are opposition and you are a neutral host, which
I am
seems
neutral.
not to be neutral and seems to be from, if I am allowed to say so, something rhyming with DI media. I'm also
Okay,
not going to take. Uh,
perfectly fine. Because your inference onto certain stances, I cannot help you. You are holding your perspectives that doesn't even matter. I don't really care. So finally, we can conclude. Our host have something to say. So, sir, please, you can have your stage. I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, am I audible to you? Yeah, am I audible
Yes, sir.
right now?
Yes, sir. You're audible.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's very, I think it's I'm blessed to have this opportunity to judge these debates. I know because I even had multiple participations in various debates. I know how the heated arguments get in. But end of the day, I used to, more of my friends would be in opposition, as always I do. So just I wanted to say, don't take it personal. We know how the judging criteria, how we would mark that those certain aspects. I also what I say. I do understand the words of what Harshavardhan is saying, but believe me, everything is being noticed, everything is being listened and heard. Don't worry about that. And when it comes to a government, you have wonderful parallel. You are ready to what I say. You are ready to answer anything, and the opposition is as much as rebuttal. I don't wonder, I wish that this same enthusiasm would have been in the real opposition, the government and the India of today would be in another position. And my last advice to you people is that you have been researching the content, you have a very good analysis, and you have a very critical skills. I think you are blessed with these